there. Happy Wednesday. It seems like it's been forever since I've done a live. I'm finally over whatever virus came in and decided it was going to kick my ever-loving butt. Still have a little bit of a cough, but not as bad as it was. So figured I'd come on today and do a live stream showing how to make a folio journal out of junk mail using envelopes. It's not all junk mail, but using envelopes that come in the mail, we all get them. Don't throw them away. They're a valuable resource when it comes to doing these journals. Now, because this is doing live streaming, I've done a couple things ahead of time. I've gone ahead and I've inked all of my edges on both my envelopes and my decorative papers. I've cut my edges open to make the pockets for the ones that I want of the upper pockets. So I have 6 envelopes, and then I have the decorative papers for front and back of those envelopes, as well as the papers for the cover, the outside cover, the inside, and I covered my pockets already. So we're going to start by getting the cover covered, so I can get these pockets out of the way. So this is a standard manila folder. I measured it to my widest envelope, which would be this one, at 5 3/8, so it's 5 3/8 to the edge, 1/4 inch spine, and then 5 3/8 again for the front. I've also measured up and down for my longest envelope. Now, just so happened in this case, the longest envelope, which I did just discover, that your standard long envelope is, when you look at a manila folder, this is the natural fold, and it's got the expansion lines for your papers that you put in there. That top fold line actually is the height that I needed for the envelope. So I just folded it on that and made that. This is the front of the folder. And I cut 3.5 inches. I meant to cut 3.5 inches from this fold line, but I actually cut 3.5 inches from this one instead. So this front pocket's a little shorter than I intended, but that's okay. And then I used the tab to trace that shape out. I also have 2 extra pockets that are going to go behind it. And again, I just use the tab as a template to make the shape. I've already covered them in paper and inked them up just to save some time. So I have my inside papers already cut. We're going to get those glued down. Now this first sheet, I'm going over the score lines, the center line over the spine, because I'm going to glue the envelopes there, and I don't want to have to deal with the up top and the bottom showing through. That was a trick I learned from another YouTuber. I was like, oh, what a brilliant idea. So the other half of this will be glued on after I glue my folders in. But it'll go like this. Or my folders, my envelopes. So I won't glue this piece on just yet. I'm going to retrain the spine. My computer just says, it's almost time to restart. Would you like to go now? No. So I'm just making sure that the inside wants to fold where it's supposed to. I see that I didn't quite cut it to the right size when I did this initially. Whoops, I just avalanched all of my supplies over there. We'll trim this off. And because I had to trim that, I'm gonna have to re-ink. Just not that big of a deal. Probably have to do that in a few places. I know on some of the pockets, once I cut the little tab out, I'll have to re-ink. But this is also a problem that's pretty common. Is the sides lifting like this? Easy fix. Just run some wet glue. If you think about it ahead of time, you can do the glue stick all the way around, and then just around the edges do the wet glue, and that way, you kind of fix the problem ahead of time. Kind of be more proactive about it. And I do that most of the time. I just happen to forget sometimes too. So I'm just going to check my edges, make sure they're stuck down everywhere else. I don't see them lifting anywhere else. And that usually just means one of two things. Either you didn't get glue all the way to the edge when you were doing the glue stick, or it dried on you. Which, hello. If you're not working super, super fast, then, yeah, your glue's going to dry on you. Now, under other circumstances, you wouldn't have to worry about covering this part down here because obviously your pocket's going to be covering it, so it'd be a waste of paper. But again, I wanted to be able to cover this all the way down to this bottom edge down here. So waste a little bit of paper, no big deal. No skin off my nose. Kind of the same situation here as, there doesn't necessarily need to be. I'll probably trim this down. Let's do this the straight way. Hello to whoever is hanging out in the bushes over there. I see someone watching currently. Cut this one down to the same size. That step wasn't necessary, but it does help reduce bulk. And then because my OCD is a little bit controlling here, I'm going to take this to 1.5 inches. And then what I do here is try to find a pencil. Guess I'll grab another one out of the drawer. And we're going to mark this at 1.5 inches so I know how high up that second, or technically the third pocket will go. So this one goes right there. All right, we're going to take the good glue, now that I have some, and we're going to make that U shape. So, we want that pocket to be able to go down from the center. So down the sides, across the bottom. Boop. We're going to find that line, which I know is right about the O there. Get my straight edge lined up. Again, this is a silicone-based glue. You definitely want to have good ventilation going in your craft room while you're using it. At least have a door open. Don't lock yourself in, because it will get you a little high if you don't. Do you see what I did though? I covered up my line there. So 1.5 inches goes right there. So it goes to that line. Pulled my eraser off. So again, side, bottom, inside. Line the straight edge up. It's so funny because it tricks my eye because I didn't get the lined paper on straight. So I'm trying to line the edges up, and it's an optical kiss my butt, because the lines are not straight. So I'm like comparing a straight edge to a non-straight line. Plays games with your brain just a wee bit. And then for this one, you're just going to go down the sides. And get that third pocket glued down. Move that one just a little bit. Just because I'd rather have them line up here than over here, because I can fix this side over here. That is one of the good advantages of the Fabri-Tac Beacon 3-in-1 is that it does give you a little bit of time to move stuff around before it dries solid. Come back. I'm going to trim. using my glue scissors. I don't know how well you'll be able to see, but there's glue all over them. These are the ones I use when I'm trimming gluey stuff. That way I only have to clean one pair of scissors regularly instead of a bunch of different pairs. So I have one pair of scissors that's dedicated to cutting paper that has glue on it. Okay, I'm making sure that's going to fold. Good. I'll go ahead and do the back cover. That way I can just set that up, this aside. Because this is a big piece, I'm going to go ahead and do it half and half. That way my glue stick hopefully doesn't dry too fast. And I'm going to run some wet glue around the edges. Favorite glue. I've said that I think on many lives before. I love my Fabrifix. It's a very expensive glue. It's like $11 for a 4-ounce bottle or something like that. Buy it at Walmart if you're going to buy it. Don't go to a craft store because you're going to spend a lot more money on it. Come on. I just need you to move just a little bit. Come on. Oh, I'll pull you off. I discovered that once because I was like, how much more expensive could it be? Holy moly, it can be a lot more expensive. The same bottle at the craft store was almost twice as much as what I pay for it at Walmart. So definitely shop around. For the supplies that you actually do have to purchase. Shop around because you're going to want the best price, especially when it comes to glues because you're going to use a lot of glue. So you definitely want to be able to save money where you can. A little bit extra there because my glue seemed a little dry that time. And again, a hard card of some sort. I mean, we all have, you get these things in the mail where it's like, oh, cash this in and you'll get this or whatever. I think we all get them in the mail. They're great for spreading your glues and really burnishing is what it's called. But what you're doing is you're working on adhering the paper fibers by squishing them together, and applying a little bit of pressure. You're forcing the fibers of the two papers to bind together. Trim that part down. I want to, trim that just a little bit. And again, I'll have to go back in and re-ink in some places. anywhere else. Oh, yeah, right. And I'm not worrying about trimming this corner right here because once I get the other paper on, I'm going to grab my corner rounder and I'm going to round the whole corner off. Oops. My glue over again. All right, I'm going to set this off to the side and start working on our envelopes. All right, this is just your standard white envelope. I've got paper for both sides because this is bigger than smaller than my workspace. I'm going to go ahead and get something to glue on. Some people use books, which I do have a glue book, and then I've shown those before where I then use, once the page gets too sticky, then I fold it up and use it for bases, for tags and whatnots. Try to center this as much as possible. And this is going to be a top loading pocket. A little bit of wet glue on this corner that's not wanting to stick down. Flip this over. This was playing in an old crossword book. Using a bunch of the papers for bases. Try not to stick on the sticky. Ooh, one error I just made, and I'll have to fix myself. Because this here is longer, I should have glued here instead of on here, so that the paper doesn't get glued all the way down. Because then you'll glue your pocket closed. Oh, actually on this one it doesn't matter because it's a top loader. Let's see, it'll be a top loading pocket. Again, you want to make sure that your flap still works. Right now, you're not doing anything with the flap until the rest of the stuff is done. I do have some opening here. That's why I love this tiny little bottle. Get some glue up underneath there. Some glue going in there. That's where my paper didn't. This is a double side. I folded the paper in half because, again, it's a crossword book and it's an old crossword book. So the paper is pretty thin and fragile. So I doubled it in order to give it a little bit of strength because I didn't know what I was going to be using it for when I did it. So yeah, I just had to run some glue in between the two halves to make sure. This top piece, because we're going to be a top pocket, I'm going to use my tag. This is a coveted device in the junk journaling world. It makes little tags. But because I cannot find my 1-inch circle punch, I've started using this as my my pull punch. Again, I'm going to have to add some ink where I just trimmed. I also see a little bit of that blue shining through there. So that's a decision you'd have to make, is do you want this even to be remotely visible, that the inside of the envelope? If not, you'll need to like put some sort of paper inside there to cover that up. So there's one. This is going to be a side pocket. Whoops. That happens. I'm going to go ahead and be preemptive and run some wet glue around my edges. This is just basic white glue, Elmer's school glue, watered down, about a third to, it's like 2/3 glue, 1/3 water. Again, you're going to try to center that as best you can. No need to be perfect. Of course, my paper's not cut perfect either, so I try to get things perfect. I'm going to be disappointed with myself. So this pocket, I'm going to have loading in this way. So one of the things that I did was I cut those extra little tabs off. You know, normally you have the tabs coming up here. Well, that'll get hung up on things. So I cut those off. This is going in as just kind of to cover up this top part of the envelope. If I can get it back in there now. We're going to glue that puppy in there. What is hanging up over there? There we go. Unlike everything else, it's already been inked. So we're going to flip this back so I can get my glue down in there. I don't want the glue to go all the way, I mean the cover to go all the way up, because again, this is going to be bound. So if you make your pocket all the way up here, you're going to have a hard time getting your stuff out. So this is only down to here, and I'll cut the tab out once I glue this down. And this is a hard cardstock versus copy paper. Again, we're going to run I'm going to have to get a baby wipe out. My fingers get really sticky. So it's going to go this way. Making sure my words were going in the right direction. I don't know how well you can see, but this scrapbook paper has script on it. There we go. Cover up the light. You can see the script a little bit. I That is not what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. Give that a good squish. This is going to be the tricky part. Ah, see, I did it again. I glued my pocket. I'll learn from my mistakes. Glue the envelope, not the paper. I've got one more of these that I'm doing, so I'll try not to make that mistake twice. There we ink. So I don't know, it's hard to see, but you can see it catches just the very lip of the original envelope. So I'm going to set that aside. Stick something in there just to keep it from gluing itself. CD holder. I'll decorate the front of this later. I just slid in music paper, and it's actually Japanese music paper. I've said before that I have an affinity for Japanese writing. I love the way it looks. And I love the way sheet music looks. So the two together is kind of like, yay. This is not going to be a functional pocket, so I'm not worried about accidentally closing it up. It's just going to be a flip. As I start to glue again, I'm like, oh yeah, I need a baby wipe. It's a little bigger than my envelope. So we're going to pull this off. Ooh. You see that, guys? Started to tear that. Not a big deal because it's going to be covered anyway. So I got to move this down so that it doesn't interfere with that fold. Line up at least two edges there. Back and trim. When you're trimming that, you want to be careful that you don't accidentally cut into your envelope, unless you want your envelope to be a pocket. Re-ink where I just cut. Okay. 3 pockets done. This is being done as a flip. Which, I will. Okay, so this one goes here. This is a textured scrapbook paper. And I'm going to put a little extra glue on it because the textured paper tends to have issues both with like your standard white glue as well as glue sticks. So I'm going to use the Fabrifix for this one. And I'm going to put some along the way. Baby wipe. Let's take this out of the way. So this I put to be right on the edges. So I want it to have some structure and stability for the flip out. Ooh. ASMR. Give a little bit of trimming. Now you could leave this like this, because if you have a dark enough pen, I mean, this is easy enough to write on. Obviously, you'd want to cover this little white spot, especially since, you know, somebody who's really, really curious about things could figure out how to see my address through that. Wet wipe over there. I got my dry ones over here. All right. Put this in. This is a calendar I printed off when I was working at my job. I used to print calendars out for my clients. And every single month, I always seem to have more than what I needed. You know, it's just a blank calendar for them to keep track of their appointments and stuff. You know, but such is the way of drug and alcohol counseling, is that you may start the end this month with 13 clients, and next month you might only have 2. So there's really no way of accurately determining how many calendars you would need to print ahead of time, because you're always going to be wrong, essentially. So I always had extras left over. I brought them home, copied them, because I don't waste paper. Should have went the other way, because that's going to interfere just a smidge with the... And I didn't cut it straight. Let's see if it's going to let me. Oh, maybe I'd have enough time to pull that off, but no. So this, I'm just creating a writing space in here. Make sure, train that. Fold this back, and then I can trim off that extra there. Again, you're wanting to be very careful that you don't trim that fold. You don't want to cut into that fold, because you're going to need it to assemble this. I've got more going this way than I have the other way, but I am not a perfectionist. It doesn't bother me that things are not even. In fact, I think it lends itself well to purpose of a junk journal, honestly. Now, I didn't need these ahead of time because this is just coffee dyed copy paper, and so it was very thin. So I wanted to wait until it was actually on here, so that way I have some stability. Just roll it around. Oops, I get extra trim there. Oh, it was the flat. Probably don't need to trim it. That's okay. Now you could also fold this back and do a, inking down the center. Which, yeah, why not? Might as well. Doing here on adherence. Do I need to add any inks or glues anywhere? I'm going to add a little bit here on this corner. And this is what the dry wipes are for. So when you saw that glue pop out, I should use the dry wipe. A little bit here. As well as for drying your own hands, but it's got a little bubble in there. Okay. Think this out. Goes this way. This is leftover paper from the travel one that I made. I've already uploaded that video. Hence the exit, passenger, railroad. Forget what else is on it. But it's in the neutral tones, which is the point of this particular journal. I'm trying to stay in the neutral browns and tans realm, just because it's easier to decorate. This also has just a hole punch. That's pretty common in scrapbooking, but you can see the dotted line across the top. That's because that's where you're supposed to cut it off. But again, I can't bring myself to waste paper. So we'll just decorate it and pretend it's part of it, right? Look pretty good. I need to trim. Don't need to trim. I need a little trim right here. about time for me to clean my glue scissors too. They're pretty darn sticky. A little bit more ink here. Ink here where I just trimmed off. My little trimmings are everywhere. That's 4. Yes. So this is going to be another side pocket. This was coffee stained. You can see some of the yellow from the paper that it was up against. Just kind of gives it some different aesthetic. This was a scrapbook paper that I wasn't super fond of, especially the color that it was. So I thought I'd try to coffee dye it. See if I liked it any better. I like it enough now, that it's darker and I'm able to, I'll be able to decorate to my liking with this shade. Slide just a smidge. Slide. Come on. Slide over. There we go. Again, smush that down. Get all of your edges. And you can see that coffee staining. Cover my light again. You can see the coffee staining coming through. This is another one of these ones where I'm going to shoot some glue down in here. Glue this cover piece down. Give it a nice. No. Give it a nice squish and try to keep it lined up. Okay, you have to kind of be careful with that because it is just coffee paper and it will tear easy once it's wet. Turn that off a little bit. Okay, don't make the same mistake twice. Glue here. So you don't accidentally glue your pocket closed. We're also going to glue the sides only, the sides and the bottom. Come on. This is double-sided scrapbook paper. I didn't like this side in relation to what I was already working with, so I used the back side of it. And dry. Wipe up the excess glue there. Oh, hi, Sissy. And before those sides dry, cut my little tabby. Re-ink. Get those drying. And then last envelope. What you up to that's got you running late? Besides being a mom. Because that always makes people late for everything. Oops. Just gouged my glue. Picking up ink from my paper here. This has a window in it. No worries. If you're concerned about the glue stick sticking to it, you can always use a heavier glue. I also realized that I didn't do my edges with the wet glue, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it while I've got it out. That was a quick and dirty, messy glue process, wasn't it? Get this. There we go. Ooh, that's not straight. Oh, my paper's not straight. Squish going on. I've also got one of these edges cut. But I cut the wrong end. Because this is the top. And I need a bottom pocket. Stuff will fall out. So I'm just going to trim just a smidge. Just really. I don't want to trim too much because I'm trying to keep the frame of the envelope around my crooked paper. I've also did a glue line down the center, so because I don't want a tag this long. So I can glue this corner or this bottom back. Yes, because that's the top. And then I have, again, it's the Japanese music sheet, but I'm going to use this side of it. And this paper is fairly thin. Almost did it again. Because this is empty right here, right? You don't want to glue the paper. You want to glue the envelope so you don't accidentally glue your pocket closed. This side over here doesn't matter because it's not actually going to be a pocket. It's where this envelope is textured. It's kind of bizarre. Oops. On the paper, again, you're going to do the sides and the bottom. do some down in here, especially since it's a textured envelope. Just want to give it a little bit of extra grip strength there. Again, we're going to line up, make sure that I don't impede the fold of the envelope, because I can't guarantee at this point that my paper is cut to size, because have we been watching? Let's move my glue page out of the way so I don't glue my paper down. Now we're having that top pocket, so we're also going to glue right along here. Just on this edge. Just to close the pocket. Do our thumb pull. Knock everything over again. Now comes the fun part. Figuring out how we're going to stack these envelopes in a creative way. So I'm going to put my ink away, close up my Elmer's glue, close up my ink, get the supplies I no longer need out of the way of me knocking them over repeatedly. Still need my glue where I need them. Scissors can go away for now. Okay. You're going to stack them with all of your flaps together. If you can get your hands to cooperate. And remember, this one's my tallest one, right? So I know that all of my other envelopes need to be within the bounds of the top and the bottom of this folder. But you want to spread them out in a way that you can kind of see all of the envelopes. So you know that they're stacked. You can see a little bit of that one, a little bit of that one. I'm going to move, I think I'm going to move that one down a little bit. Move this one up. So about like that one lined with that one. And you want the eye appeal. So ideally, I got a trim right there. You don't want you don't want your edges lined up in any way. Right? Like you don't want two envelopes to go, and then you see the bottom of the next one and it's even. So I like that. I'm going to push them together as best you can and as tight as you can. And you're going to glue all these lovely little flaps. Push them together. Can't take that glue off with my mouth because, and this is, if you have an envelope that has one of those papers, I recommend that you pull it off. Otherwise, gluing it down, it may eventually separate the paper from, everything else. It's wanting to translate, and I don't want it to translate. I want it to stay put. Wipe off any extra glue so that it doesn't glue to itself. All right, so we got flip, 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 flip. And we're back to our cover. Remember, we have our 2 lines, right? Make sure I can see it in here. Just realized I forgot to put in my ribbon over there. Forgot to put in my tie, my closure. Here, give this lots of glue. You're going to glue it right on that fold. Putting the tie in, there's 2 ways that you could do it, and neither of which I actually did. You could either attach it on the inside under the covers or on the outsides under the covers. There's no right or wrong way of doing that, except for the way I did it, which is to not do it at all. So I'll probably, I'll have to lift. Good. Tears a little bit, but that's really okay. Hey, Muzz. What kind of ribbon? I'll go with this one. That's funny. She's like, hey. She just figured out that I was on a stream. She could hear me. Okay, so I'm going to start on this side so that I can even it up on the other side, since I'm having to fix my own boo-boo, which seems I'm always in a state of fixing my boo-boos when I'm crafting on streams. Where are we at? try to even them up, line them up as best as possible. Come on, glue. Cooperate. Okay. Let that sit and dry for a moment. Where's my clippy? I know where my clippy's at. I'll use a paper clip over here to give this just some structural integrity while it's over there drying. Give it some pressure. Emma, gluey. Gluey. So if you remember from the beginning of the stream, I talked about gluing over onto this side. And that's so that when I glue this piece down, you'll see that it overlaps. I'm going to have to trim that. Because it's not supposed to overlap quite that much. So I'm going to finger mark right here. Get my scissors. That is not even remotely straight. Because again, you want it to line up with the edge of your paper, but not be in the way of it. I can always trim off the edge over here if I need to, but so I'm going to have to anyway. Okay. And because this is bumpy and there's this and there, there's all kinds of different things that I'm trying to go around and over, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my Fabrifix. Just to give it good adherence. Now, if I was using fabric, I would need to mush that glue around and kind of spread it out before I stuck the paper down, because the fabric really absorbs it and you end up with glue lines. Not so much with paper. I mean, I suppose there's some papers that are like maybe watercolor paper you might need to, because it's designed to be more absorbent. Get around my ribbon there. I wasn't quite done with my ink. I used to love wrapping presents. Your aunts kind of spoiled it for me, because they would literally wait until I got to California and I'd walk into an entire room full of presents to wrap, because they all hate wrapping presents. And I used to love it. So they would save it all for me for when I'd get there. And I'd spend the first couple hours that I was there in a room wrapping presents. I don't enjoy it so much anymore. Re-inking, re-inking. Add a little bit more glue up here. My corner's not quite there. Corner's not adhered here. So by doing that first piece and carrying it over the center spine, it gives you this edge up here that you don't have to worry about, and the edge down here at the bottom is already decorated. Otherwise, you would see the manila folder and you'd have to figure out how to get a little strip there or cover it somehow. I thought that was a great little tip from that creator. Just gonna give this a cutesy little bow. Trim. And voila. Just a quick little journal. And in the next week, we'll come back and we'll make tags, decorate the little pockets, and have some fun with this. Because right now, obviously it's pretty plain. Also, we got some spots like this where you can see the envelopes. So we'll figure out how to address that. Oh, this is the flip out. Boop, boop. All right. So there's that for today. Oops. So thanks for stopping in, and tune in next week while we decorate. Don't forget to hit the like on your way out, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out.